Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now July 30th of 2022, and as we get closer to other Star Wars shows out there like Andor, Bad Batch 2, and Tales of the Jedi, a lot of Star Wars fans, let's not forget about it, are also looking forward to Mando Season 3 and 4, the Ahsoka Tano series, as well as a host of new Star Wars shows to be announced at D23 and Disney Plus Day. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe is that we have a lot of characters from Star Wars Legends that will be coming back into the equation. That's going to be all handled by Jon and Dave Filoni. Now, given that Jon and Dave Filoni are really passionate creators, passionate Star Wars fans, and really just care about succeeding when it comes to Star Wars. They're not just doing this because it's a business or it's because they're in the film industry. These are fans, alright? So basically we have creators making Star Wars by Star Wars fans, and I think that's the greatest thing of all. Now, when we go ahead and look at what Kathleen Kennedy had done before in the past, with the sequels and with the Solo: A Star Wars Story box office results, not saying that Solo is a bad film per se, but I think that at the end of the day here, there's no doubt about it that Kathleen Kennedy makes the worst calls and decisions in the Star Wars universe till this very day. I mean, she even had a hand in the Kenobi series, and we saw what happened with that show, so let alone with the marketing of the show being a disaster. Now, moving on from all of this is where things begin to really pick up, is that we already know that Daisy Ridley has been in the talks with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni about a post-Episode 9 series and exactly where that's going. However, with actress Daisy Ridley in the talks again to join the Star Wars universe under Jon and Dave's creative process, with a new post-Episode 9 show that is currently in the early development phase, Daisy Ridley was recently questioned about her time watching the Kenobi series and what it was like working with Hayden Christensen for the sequels. Daisy stated the following: "So as you all know, I'm not really a big Star Wars fan. I mean, I got into it a bit, but I watched the Kenobi series with my Star Wars fan friends, who just loved watching Hayden come back. And speaking about Hayden, and have mentioned this before, it was always really sad to me that he was this close to becoming Anakin Skywalker again in Episode 9. We actually, believe it or not, had an original scene mapped out before we began filming that was going to include Hayden, where Ben Solo, by Adam, was supposed to meet his grandfather's Force ghost. I remember speaking with JJ, and he really wanted to do it, and JJ even reached out to Hayden about this offer and this scene, and Hayden was just so excited and up for the role. I can't really remember if it was on the Death Star or not, but it was in a planned set that was going to have lots of wreckage. That much I do remember. Hayden had already been signed on for this role to act with Adam Driver. The very sad thing that JJ met was Kathleen Kennedy had a totally different opinion on this scene and wanted little to nothing to do with it after some of the reshoots that we had done. She felt that it was going to be way too out of place for the end of the sequels, and that having a young grandson meet a young grandfather would have made no sense to Kathleen and would have been a little bit cheesy. Now, of course, let me just pause here for 1 minute. Daisy Ridley has been a lot more talkative recently, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's no longer involved in large-scale blockbuster movies. I think that she's coming to the realization now that she's really not getting all that many roles, sadly. If you guys go ahead and look at her filmography, she doesn't really have any big, major blockbusters in the run-up. You know, I think that at the end of the day, when it comes to the one actor or actress, whatever have you, that really suffered from the sequel trilogy, I think that it was Daisy Ridley that got it the worst. You know, we've seen John Boyega, I mean, he's pretty equal to that too. I think that the real successful actor here that really got out of the sequels was Oscar Isaac. I mean, he's getting more and more roles. I mean, he's now in the Dune franchise. I mean, he's just knocking it out of the park. But I really feel bad for both Jon and Daisy. I mean, they're just getting nowhere with blockbuster movies. So, moving forward from that, alright, she goes on to say, she felt that this was going to create some kind of ripple effect with the tone of the film and what she was going for at the end of this trilogy. I will never forget that JJ was so upset about this. He didn't expect her to not agree with him on this scene, and I think the hardest thing that JJ had to face was the fact that he had to cancel yet another Anakin-focused scene for episode 9 and to tell Hayden just 2 months before we were supposed to be shooting this entire sequence. It truly was a sad experience to watch the scene go downhill and never see the light of day. When I got to see Hayden on set when he was doing his other scenes that got cut and transferred over into the form of only Force Ghost voices, he was just the kindest guy and took all the creative differences, however, with a bit of frustration. I mean, I don't blame him. It would have been one of the greatest moments in Star Wars history for the fans. All I can say is that this movie was going to be quite something else for everybody. It really was like a different movie before she created all of these different shifts and changes to the story. But that's the film industry, sadly, and how everything works, and it's a very tough business to work with at times, I will admit. JJ actually did some really cool designs for Anakin that were unreleased to the public. Now, further, alright, one thing that we do know is that this, of course, falls directly in line with the fact that Daisy Ridley had a lot of problems also with Kathleen Kennedy behind the scenes. We already talked about this. It's been an ongoing thing because she actually, believe it or not, had a lot of these dark Rey scenes and other scenes that she had with Ben Solo that she rehearsed for that suddenly got canceled, like, out of the blue, like last minute. She herself even said this, that there were a lot of dark Rey scenes, there were a lot of scenes of herself with Ben Solo, where Ben Solo had a lot of dialogue, you know, how Ben Solo was going to have more limelight in the show when he's turned to the light side of the Force. I mean, really, this movie could have been quite something unique and quite the experience. I still, and I say this to this very day, that Episode 9, alright, was an improvement in The Last Jedi, in my opinion. It's not perfect, it has good moments here and there, but looking at the film in its entirety, a lot of stuff in there is very boring to me. You know, all of the John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and Daisy Ridley focused stuff where they're together as Finn, Poe, and Rey on the planet of Pisana, I felt that was very flat, just as an example. There's a lot of sequences in this movie that really needed to be worked on, but this in particular would have really changed and saved the process of the sequels and how the fans actually received them and actually perceived them, I should say. And I think that when you look at it like that, having Anakin on board of a sequel trilogy movie, the very last one, it would have really tied everything together. Think about it this way. You bring back Palpatine, but you don't bring back Anakin. That's probably the biggest failure of all time, and probably the biggest missed opportunity of all time as well. So, that, I think, is what Daisy is getting at as to why it's so sad, and why Hayden himself was even frustrated to a degree. So, like I say, guys, I would love to hear, you know, what you have to say about Daisy Ridley's comments on this. Again, she is going to be involved in a post-Episode 9 series. We're going to be learning more about that at Celebration next year in Europe. Go ahead and check it out. Keep your eyes open next year. And there's a lot of things on the horizon by John and Dave. I mean, these guys are really putting in work, staying consistent, and doing what they gotta do. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.